Right, well, I'll admit this is what I hoped for, that people are still on their tea break, so this is a good sign for me. I get away with it lightly. So, good afternoon, all the distinguished guests that are here in the room, the Maritime Trailblazers, all our male champions we have here in the room and online, and especially to the cadets and the seafarers that are both in the room and online, of course. And a big hello especially for the seafarers who are able to dial in from their ships off watch, or I hope you're off watch. And gratitude, of course, to shipping companies and charterers that allow the connectivity in the first place. So the slot here today is looking at what is marine autonomy and what does it have to do with diversity. So what is marine autonomy? It's a very good question. It's a market that's growing all over the world. And as with any expanding market, this creates opportunities for jobs. It creates opportunities for existing roles. It also creates opportunities for new roles. And perhaps it's because I'm a woman in maritime. One of my first thoughts when I joined this sector was, how can we use this to encourage more women into the industry as a whole? And in a wide range of roles, what can be the opportunities of this? And how do we make it more socially sustainable and diverse for many other minorities? And we've spoken a few today already. So as we see from this slide, there's many different uses for marine autonomy. All these three ships here on this slide have actually conducted real operations remotely. There's a passenger ferry there in Sweden. There's a vessel in the UK delivering some electric outboard engines, and then there's some remote survey ships conducting a survey in Australia. So these ships are all supported by seafarers, but they're also supported by software engineers, network engineers, maintenance specialists, and this opens up many different routes for women, and also other minorities as well, of course. And it's not also just about the ships and the systems, there's also the changing port infrastructure that's also needed. So diversity is definitely more than just gender, and we've been speaking a bit about that today. And for me, this is the whole scope, a lot of the scope about diversity. I know seafarers who are colorblind, who are diabetic, who are neurodiverse, wealthy backgrounds, poor backgrounds, straight, gay, transsexual, and that is one of the great levelers I find about this industry, is that you get people from all different backgrounds. But still today we see many seafarers who are restricted in their medical certification. For example, they can have type 1 diabetes. They can face difficulties balancing religion with onboard requirements. For example, in certain parts of the world you have to wear a parrot mask for H2S gas offshore, and you have to be clean shaven, and that obviously can be an issue for some religions. Some people that are neurodiverse can have difficulties with sensory overload, for example, so an air conditioner on a bridge might be an issue. And then we've spoken as well today about some of the cultural pressures that can come, especially for some women, or that can face harassment on board due to their gender or their sexuality. So there's many different aspects to diversity. So I was thinking, how can this new marine autonomy thing benefit diversity? So I started looking into it, and there are lots of known barriers for female seafarers, and this was a study that I looked at that was conducted in 2019, which I quite liked because it captured quite a lot of the barriers that I myself have thought about and faced in my career at sea. And I'm definitely not saying that marine autonomy can replace women on traditional crewed ships, or that women should not have children in the first place. I know several mothers who combine seagoing work alongside having a family, and I really would love to see this being a norm and not something that we celebrate and talk about and raise eyebrows for. I also know many fathers that do the same and struggle to do the same. I know single fathers bringing up children when they're seagoing. So this is definitely not just a gender issue. Monica in the keynote earlier mentioned that there's this lower rate of women having children as seafarers, and it's a definite barrier. I know myself, I'm a seafarer that had never had children, partly for this reason. But also for me, I also love being at sea. So I definitely don't think that women should just work in control centres. From here in Mumbai, I head straight to Spain on Sunday to the shipyard to start commissioning my new build ship that I'm going to take over command of next year. So I am very, very much, thank you, I am very, very much pro-women doing the jobs they want to do. But what I hope Marine Autonomy can do is facilitate a return to employment quicker for women if they want to have children, or have an alternative to a pure desk job for some seafarers looking to improve their work-life balance. So typically you can go to sea and then think, oh, I want to be home more, I need to maybe go into ship management, crewing, P&I, shoreside roles. I hope this can keep people still seafaring if that's what they want to do. And let me say this, that every woman, for me, deserves the right to have any job in this industry and have the access to do that. So for me, it's the women, for things like pregnancy, caring. We know that it's not just about having children. Women do face a much higher burden of caring traditionally in a family than males, and that's in statistics. And I've been told many times in my career that I shouldn't be at sea because I was a woman. I've had various people tell me that throughout the years. So there is always this barrier that unfortunately many of us have to get over. And finding a berth, I know this can be particularly challenging for Indian women trying to find those seagoing berths for a cadetship when so many companies can lean on we have cadets sharing cabins and we can't have mixed genders sharing cabins. So there's hopefully many barriers that Marine Autonomy can overcome. So I did a little bit of research into this because I foolishly decided to do another master's degree. And I surveyed over 100 seafarers and maritime professionals, including some, as you can see, here in India. And then I interviewed 7 participants more in depth. And it was more positive than I was expecting, actually. So as you can probably see from this, there was a very, very high rate, over 80% of those surveyed, that thought that marine autonomy using remote control for vessels could be positive for aiding inclusivity for women, which I think is great news. But what we need to see is this positivity turned into action. I don't have time today, obviously, to share how. I know we're tight for time, but I'm happy to connect with anybody to share more of those details about how we can turn this potential into action so we can have more women around the world doing these jobs. I know a company that's opening a remote control center here in India. So there are real opportunities. And there's also opportunities for age and disability too. So we see it's definitely not just about women. I focus obviously on women because this is Maritime SheEO, but there are other factors as well. Idara mentioned some this morning actually for terminal crane operators. And we can see that medical restrictions can shorten seagoing careers. I know I've had injuries in my career that could have threatened my career. We also have a lot of neurodiverse talent and skills and traits that we're currently losing out on in the industry that can be quite unique and a strength to marine autonomy. And post-traumatic stress, we've spoken a little bit about the barriers and the challenges, and that the female seafarers can often face SASH. And post-traumatic stress can come from incidents like piracy or abandonment, as you can see here, or it can come through things like fatalities on board. So remote control of vessels, I think, can give seafarers another option if they want to promote their recovery through this. And then finally, because I know we are very tight for time, Monica in her keynote earlier as well spoke of the enormous challenges but also the enormous opportunities. And it really is my hope that the vessel remote controls of the future, and that we see now, provide these opportunities and the lever to try and bring these UN Sustainable Development Goals so we're not talking about a year that starts with 21. We should be better than that. So I really do think that we can achieve some of these. This picture here was one that was posted by somebody on LinkedIn earlier this year, and I quite liked it because it shows to me the way that marine autonomy can potentially enable many of us to combine a family life that I certainly haven't been able to do in my career. And a world where women and men have additional options to balance having a family and being a seafarer. And the nice thing is, I've seen it with my own eyes. So this picture on your left here was sea trials for a remotely monitored and remotely supported 78-meter long vessel that was built in Vietnam, and we were doing these trials in Norway. And there are 4 women there in that picture, and The men on the bridge were actually outnumbered by us on the bridge for those sea trials, which was always nice. So we had some jokes about that, obviously. And then on the other side of the screen was the remote control center. As you can see, there's quite a lot of men, and there's only one woman. But that woman was the second mate in the remote control center. So she was the only mariner involved in that operation supporting that remotely controlled ship. So it just happened. It wasn't some PR exercise. It just happened that way. So women, we are claiming our place. So I hope that's just a little glimpse of what the wider opportunities can be for many in what for me is truly a wonderful career in maritime. And certainly for all the cadets and the seafarers here, both in the room and online, whether you're on board, whether you're ashore in a control center, or whether you dip in and out, so you have a family, you do some shore control, then you come back and go seagoing for a while, and then you go back again, just know that you have the best career and you inspire me. And I'll leave you with some pretty pictures of some remotely controlled ships.